Hey everybody, how you doing today? Probably a quick little video today, but I have been thinking lately about something that, I never really stopped and thought about this, but recently it crossed my mind after 30 plus years of professional photography. What is my favorite photograph I ever took? And maybe not just the one photograph that's my favorite, but what are my favorite photographs? So when I thought about that question and started kind of kicking it around in my head, what was the my most favorite photographs I ever took? I really probably have taken a lot of photographs that I don't even remember taking. And as I started picking through some of the old boxes and stuff, I definitely came across some jobs and photos that I did for myself. I flipped through a bunch of them and certainly I've taken lots of photographs that I really am proud of. I mean, I've got a website up of some of the best recent photographs that I've done trying to advertise what I do. And of course I've shot, hundreds of weddings. I've done lots of stock photography. I used to do a lot of hiking in the mountains of Colorado. And as I flip through all of these, I've got it down to about 4 images that really, in my mind, I would want to be remembered for maybe. Maybe that's the way to say it. Proud shots that I'm really proud of, that I go back to and I think I really love this shot. Now, one of the things that's kind of interesting is I went down into my basement and drug out this old light box. There it is. Very dusty light box. Now, I used to make a living with this box every single day, and what it is it's a box, you plug it in, flip it on, and it lights up, and you're able to look at negatives in chrome film. I don't even know if this thing still works. I drug it out of my basement. I probably haven't touched this thing for probably 20 years. Still works. To show you how old these are, these Ohio Institute of Photography. This is back when I was a student. I got these binders. Here's an image that I took at Clifton Mill back when I was going to school. This was a very special photograph to me because my mother ended up cross-stitching. She was into cross-stitching. And she cross-stitched this same scene. I shot that on 4x5 chrome film. Walked down into the river and looked up and photographed. I don't even think you can get to that spot anymore because they've got a bridge over it and Christmas lights all over that hill. They're not, you can't go down there anymore. So that's kind of a unique image. Now, the thing that I'm finding to be true that seems to make one of my photographs my favorite photograph, to put it in that category, it kind of goes against a lot of the things that I say and preach on this channel, that lighting is the most important thing and technical know-how is the most important thing, because a couple of the shots that I'm going to show you out of the 4 that I've weeded it down to is that 2 of them are not technically phenomenal. They're good, but they're not technically solid. And what I'm finding is what makes a photograph one of my favorite photographs is the memory and the story behind it. So maybe that's super obvious, but I guess in some ways I would have thought the more technically solid images would be my favorite. But yeah, let me show you the 4. And in no particular order. I've got one in my hand right here. 3 out of the 4 were shot on film, to give you an idea of how old they are. I started shooting digital full-time in, I think, about 2003. Got my first digital camera, and once I started shooting digital, I think I did 1 film job after that and never did another film job. So about 2003. So these all predate that. One of the first ones is, this is the original 4x5 Polaroid that I did. I'll take it out of this little frame. This was in 1992, I think. This is my wife. At the time we were dating, I was working for a department store, and she came in. She had the day off for some reason. She came and visited me, and I said, sit down in the chair, and I took her portrait on a 4x5 camera. So this is the Polaroid we did that day, and then here's a print that I made because I shot a sheet of film afterwards. Shot the Polaroid, shot the sheet of film. They're not exactly the same. They look pretty darn close, but all shot on a view camera. So of course it's my wife. Of course it was when we were dating, so it's got some memory to it. But shooting people on a 4x5 camera was kind of a unique thing, and so it makes the list. Now this next image, I don't have it in my hand, but I'll flash it on the screen while I'm talking here. This is a shot that I shot digitally. This was at the school that I was teaching at. This is probably 2006, 2007, somewhere right in there. This is my youngest son. We were doing portraits in the studio, and for whatever reason, we just hit this moment taking this portrait. Now the lighting and everything is pretty technically solid on this shot. It was such a cute shot of my youngest son that I looked at this shot. It's actually a stock image that I sell to this day. It doesn't sell very often. But yeah, this one is just one I go back to on a regular basis. And if you can't tell already, by and large, a lot of this is family. I mean, the memory part of it, I guess it only makes sense that family shots would be in the list of favorites. Now this next shot I'm going to show you, and I'm kicking myself because I cannot find the original chrome. It's here somewhere in the house, but this was shot on 35 slide film, probably Ektachrome of some sort, back before I even went to college to become a photographer. I literally was just kind of a hobbyist. I knew I wanted to be a photographer, owned a camera, took a lot of pictures when we traveled, and so technically this is probably not phenomenal. I don't even know if it's sharp. I probably didn't have the most high-end equipment at the time, so the lens was probably not the greatest lens, but we were traveling in England. I went to this little town called Clovelly. You know, I think we went in, saw the town, left, but it was such a neat little unique town that when I snapped this photo, it just had a memory to me that is like, wow, I cannot believe I'm standing in front of, you know, this picturesque little town that, you know, coming from America where everything is relatively new, it just didn't even seem real to me. It seemed like a movie set or something. But for whatever reason, from 1986 till today, what we're, 35 years later, this image still has a place in my heart as one of my favorite shots, and technically not super sound, but the exposure's pretty close. And this is a print that's hanging on my wall in my house to this day. Yeah, again, not technically sound, but a lot of memories to that shot. And this takes me to my last shot of the 4 that I would consider favorites, all-time favorites. And again, it's a family shot. Has a lot of memory, has a lot of meaning to me because it is family. It is my oldest son, and this is his first haircut. And the story is that we were at a barber shop in Denver, Colorado that had this big, huge window in the front, so he had all this beautiful light coming through the front, although I would say technically the lighting is not great because it's a little flat. But I shot this on medium format film. I shot this with a Hasselblad wide angle lens. I think it had like a 40 millimeter lens on a Hasselblad. And they're just adorable. I mean, they're just cute shots. And of course, great memories for me. My oldest son's first haircut. Shot it in black and white on purpose, black and white film. And you can see the film edges around this print because this is a traditionally printed image, I believe, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I mean, I guess this is an obvious shot as well. But this is one that I go back to all the time that I just love to look at time and time again. I never get tired of it. Okay guys, I thank you so much for watching. I thank everybody who's a new subscriber, been making comments, been giving me a thumbs up. I appreciate all of that. The channel is starting to roll a little bit. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. If you can leave me a comment, I'd love to hear from you about what is your favorite photograph, why it's your favorite photograph. You know, it's been kind of a fun project for me to kind of think through 30 years of photography, what makes up my favorite photographs. And I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. So leave me a comment. If nothing else, I hope I kind of stirred some things up in your mind to think, you know, of all the professional jobs and stuff maybe you've done, what is it that makes a photograph your favorite? So until next time, thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.